I'm Tara Carroll. I hope when you look back on your life, you look at yourself and you are proud of everything that you healed through, been through, and loved through, because you only go once.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. You are here with my wonderful co-host, Eileen Grimes. I'm Cheryl Cantafio, and this is You Only Go Once. Eileen is going to introduce us to a fantastic guest. Eileen, kick us off.
Thank you, Cheryl. So today we are so excited to bring you Tara Carroll, who advocates for all things unconditional love, marriage, and relationships. She and her husband began this journey before they even realized that they were that one young couple. Not only did they meet on Instagram, but they also eloped at the ripe ages of 19 and 21. Now at the ages of 26 and 27, they share their journey and guide those along the similar path of unconditional love, while sharing how they break generational curses, navigate love languages, and the different seasons of marriage. Their goal is to help those who stopped believing in love to believe again. Their goal is to remind the world that love always wins. That's law. Welcome, 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 Tara. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So even from your bio, there is so much I want to know about. My goodness, this might take an hour and a half, maybe 2 or 3 hours. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, how incredible. What an amazing journey. So first, let's just start out real quickly here. Instagram. Tell us the story.
So, ironically, so I was actually in a long-term relationship for 4 years prior to this. And it was September when we broke up. Now, mind you, I decided to leave. And after this moment, I made a promise to myself and I said, I'm just going to focus on me. And literally a month to that day, I was on Instagram and this dude started liking all my pictures. And I was like, what? I was in the mindset of, I'm not playing any games. I'm really focusing on myself right now. So what are your intentions? So I sent him a message and I said, hey, my name is Tara. Nice to meet you. I don't know you. And he started replying. He's like, yeah, I followed you because, you were really beautiful. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Not really feeding into it.
Yep.
Conversation started to go really deep. Like he was telling me, where he was in his life at the moment. He was telling me, he was in the military, and I was like, red flag. My dad's a Vietnam veteran, so
yeah.
I always said I was never gonna talk to a military person. So I was like, okay, we could be friends, but this is not gonna go anywhere.
Right.
But then he asked, he was like, what are you in college for? So at the time I had just went to college. He's like, what are you in college for? What are you studying? But then he was like, so what do you want to do with that? And that was something that even my friends didn't ask or so I was like, okay, this is going a little different. So then he tells me, he was like, yeah, I didn't want to go into the military for the military. He's like, I was actually in college and my financial aid dropped. But I didn't just go home with nothing. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's a green flag. Okay.
There you go.
I decided to join the military. And so then I was like, well, that's interesting. So I opened up about how my dad was a Vietnam veteran. And I was like, I'm really interested in the veterans, but not as far as talking to veterans in that regard. He's like, he respected that. But then, so ironically, he was stationed 40 minutes from my hometown. And I was currently going to college 40 minutes from where he grew up. But mind you, those are 4 hours apart. So we were flipped. So I was like, okay, interesting. So I was going to go home that following weekend. It was around October, and I always go home to go to haunted houses with my best friends and stuff like that. So I said, if you want to go, we can meet up. Didn't know at the time that he didn't like scary things, but he's like, yeah, I'll go. Didn't know this. So
no.
We meet up for our first date. And he picks me up in his friend's car. He doesn't have a car at the time. I already know this. And I get in the front seat. I asked my best friend to come, and I'm like, ride with me just in case, because I don't know the person. It's the first time we're meeting. Ride with
Smart.
Me. So
very smart.
Back seat. I get in the front seat, and his friend's in the car as well. The guy that car he's borrowing. The guy's like, yeah, this is his car, and he's trying to chop it up. And I'm like, I already know this is not his car. I know he doesn't have a vehicle like that. So already at that point, I'm like, okay, this friend isn't, but okay,
right.
So we get to the fair and we get out, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous because I was like, if he gets out the car and he's shorter than what he told me, this is gonna be a little awkward. All these things are going through my head. Like this.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And he immediately pays for me. And that was a green flag because the previous relationship that I had been in, I paid for everything. So that was like, okay, green flag. But he didn't, it wasn't like he was trying to show. It was just like natural for him. So then we're going on rides. I didn't ride anything with him. I was riding with my best friend the whole time. Because again, I was coming from a long distance or a long-term relationship. I'm not trying to jump in. I know you're doing all these nice things for me, but that's okay, great. That I should expect that. After that date, mind you, I rode maybe one ride with him. After that date, we ended up actually going to the haunted house the next date. So that was actually when I felt something different. So we're walking through the haunted house and I felt so comfortable being myself. So when I'm scared or if I'm in pain, I talk a lot of crap. It's very sarcastic. I like So we're walking through the haunted house. We end up getting lost from our group because they take off running and I'm not going to run. I'm walking. So we're walking through. Someone jumps at me and I'm just sarcastic, like super sarcastic. He didn't judge me. Like the actor, he was like, so you're not scared? And I was like, whoa, your breath. It was so funny. It was a funny moment. Anyway, so then at the end, the chainsaws come out. God. I end up leaving him. I take off running. And it was so funny. So he walks out and he's like, I see how this is going to go. It was just cool. We were able to be ourselves. It was no judgment. It was nothing. Yeah. And the last day, this was the last day before I had to leave to go back to college. And I knew that something was I was like, I wanted to tell him that he felt like home, but this was our second day of meeting. For
sure. Yeah.
Right.
I like, this is, I haven't even felt this in a friendship. I feel so open with you. And we ended up, I think we spent maybe 2 hours together because he had to go back and he had duty that day. And then after that, we talked every single day on the phone. He would wake me up for class. I had 7:30 in the morning class, like every day. He would wake up, wake me up for class. He'd make sure I was doing my homework. He was majority of the time, sometimes he'd be on like FaceTime with me in class, making sure like I'm doing my stuff, or if he had stuff in the military, I was helping him study. He would bring his packets down. At the time, still, we didn't have cars, so I was taking Amtrak to see him. Then there was one night where we stayed up for hours, and he asked me one question, and this is how I knew that this was something that wasn't going to go, like he wasn't going to go away. He asked me why I was the way that I was. And no one has ever asked me that in terms of, why do I shut down at times? Or why it was like a deep question. And I opened up about all of my traumas, like childhood traumas. And it wasn't like he just soaked it in. It was like a blank wall. After he heard, he was receptive, and then he shared his. And that moment, like, I was like, wow, like you've been through things too. And you can relate, and you're not a crappy person. Like, wow. That was the moment where I was like, oh yeah, this is going to go somewhere. But still, we didn't have a title. We didn't call each other like boyfriend or girlfriend. It was just, we were just riding a wave. It was like, we're just going to go with the flow. And the flow led us to marriage a year later.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Look at you.
That's such a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? You beam when you tell it. So, you know, it's like, it's that moment where you're like, oh, I met my guy, or I met my partner, my soul partner for life. And you could see it like beaming out of your eyes. You're like, yeah, this was cute. You're like, it was sort of a meet cute set at a haunted house, and this is fine. And, it's nice that you lifted each other up, which was lovely. And they sound like incredibly mature conversations for 19 and 21. I mean, you're still trying to figure the world out, and you two found each other and just went, yep, that's it. Here we are.
Cheryl, I just want to bring you back for a second, because they eloped at 19 and 21.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'm doing the math here.
Okay. Oh, yes, you did, didn't you? Okay. Yes, you did.
Even so, yes.
Even so, what a great love story. Awesome. Awesome.
Definitely.
I feel for your husband, because I too am not great at haunted houses. So there's a place near, and I'm in Philly. So there's a place near us called Eastern State Penitentiary. And my two friends took me there twice. Now, I will say, I agreed to both times. But
I was going to say, come on.
yeah, I know. But I read that you could say monster go away, but you had to be 11 or under. So like literally people are jumping out of me and I'm like, monster go away. They're like, that doesn't work. Like there were people like breaking character going, you're not 11. And I'm like, fine, still go away. Yeah. So yes. I was the one that was like screaming to the point where actors broke character because they were laughing at me so hard. Yes. So I empathize and sympathize with your then boyfriend, now husband. So yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same. I watch scary movies. Like I kind of do a little, no one can see this as to what's happening right now between the three of us, but I kind of like make a screen with my fingers and then I use my thumbs to plug my ears when watching horror movies.
Yep.
Just like there's something about the sound for me. So I feel like if I was in one of those, I'd really have like one, I'd probably just get very injured very quickly. But yes, I've heard that Eastern State one is terrifying, like really truly terrifying.
Yeah, it was at the time for me, but I'm also a big chicken. So like my husband and I just watched, and it was my own fault. I bought the stupid DVDs. So we watched Insidious like 1 through 4.
I love those.
Yeah. And they're not bad, but I used the blanket as the shield. And Eileen, I do what you do. I put my thumbs in my ears and go, just let me know when the scary noise is over, because like the crunching, I'm like, no, nope. And then we binged 2, and then I was like, we have to watch something happy. Put something happy on. I don't care if it's Marvel. I don't care if it's a cartoon. I don't care what it is. We're probably all in trouble for all the things that we're mentioning. This is not an ad, just saying. So yeah, there's like that's how I watch most scary movies. Like I'll be into it and watch it, and then I'm like, we have to watch something happy.
I'm the same thing as me. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, we got to put on something happy though after.
I can't go to bed yet.
Right. No, not yet. Not yet.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I just, listening to your story of how you met and really that last conversation kind of specifically, there's the reciprocity, right? The reciprocity and encouragement and just that mutual wanting and seeing each other to be the best version of yourselves that you can be, right? Already in the conversations and what's already happening. And it looks like that even more because you're both in this journey together with this love always wins, right? Like that to want to see each other succeed along those lines only continues to push you and share and be the best versions of yourselves. So obviously that started from the beginning. So now you're here. How obviously you got married and these things. How did you get to here, that where you've created this space now? So this love always wins. When did that start happening? When did you two decide that? And is he going to come on and say hi to us at some point?
Yeah, daddy duty. So, yeah. So Love Always Wins actually was birthed February of 2022.
Okay.
And so that it's really new, but our brand in total, as far as sharing and being an advocate for love and marriage, that began in 2020. So I'll start there and then go to there.
Yeah, please.
I was in grad school and I had just had our first child. I think he was like probably 6 months old. And I got into grad school. I ended up getting dropped May 2020. So the pandemic just had gotten really bad and got dropped from grad school. And I was like really hurt because one, if I'm being real, I was only going to school because I was getting paid for it. The VA was paying me money to get for whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll continue to go to school so we can get another check just in case, the pandemic was all over the place. So then that happened and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I was building a platform. Like I was getting all these followers and all these things. Like, mind you, I was just sharing about her life. Like I learned something every day and I'll just share it. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just get into YouTube. Like maybe I can do that. And I know YouTube is, great income.
Yeah.
And Trey was hesitant. He was like, okay. Going from a 2-income household to a 1, you're talking YouTube. He was really real. And I was like, let's just try it. Like, have some faith in me. I think I can do this. So he was like, all right, I'm gonna have faith in you. So I started posting and stuff like that. And then I believe I had like my first brand collaboration, and that's kind of where like the money started coming in.
Sure.
But I was like, I wasn't really worried about the followers. It was never really about the followers. It was just about the message. I just wanted to share our love. Like I wanted people to see like love is real. Like what I'm living right now is real life. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that because those weren't things that I saw growing up. I didn't know that people really lived like this. I saw it on TV and I saw that's what I wanted, but I didn't know that this was real life. So I was like, if I can share this, and if one person is affected, even when I share the bad things, like not necessarily bad, that's a negative connotation, but when I share the things that I had to learn, someone can learn from that. And if it's just one person, then my job is done. So I just kept doing that, and sticking to that, and went from, let's say 5K all the way to, I think 19K was when I first hit like the big like plateau. And I was like, wow, this is growing. Fast forward, we started getting like collaborations and modeling gigs as a couple. A lot of photographers were hitting us up and they're like, wow, we see like your energy. Like we want real. We don't really want to cast fake people anymore. And I was like, cool. Because, I used to model, my husband doesn't, but he's willing to. So then we started doing that and we started getting a lot of compliments. People were like, wow, like the energy you guys have, like we see it online, but when we're around you guys, like the love that eludes through you guys, it's different. It's crazy. A lot of people like to call us like the newlyweds, and then they find out we've been married for almost 7 years this year, and they're like, that's crazy.
Right.
So then 2022 comes along. Okay, no, we celebrate our 5 years November of 2021, and after we went on we had like a little our late honeymoon, because we never had a honeymoon. So we had a late honeymoon in Cancun. We came back. I felt in my spirit that we needed to hold a marriage retreat. Now, when, didn't know, but I knew we needed to hold one. All those things that we learned from our 5 years of marriage, leading up, all the things that we celebrated, even like when we were in Cancun, each day had a specific theme, had a specific color, had a specific intention of what we were going to do in these next 5 years, rejoicing in the 5 years we just came from, but now getting our heads screwed on straight and seeing where God's going to take us in these next 5 years. So then we came back and I was writing down in my journal and I was like, okay, marriage retreat 2023. Then I kid you not, it was like the next day, I don't know where it came from. It was like a whisper in my ear and it was like, love always wins. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. And then I saw law and I was like, ooh, that's law. And I wrote it down and I Googled it and I didn't see it anywhere. And I was like, there's no way I came up with this. There's no way. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep it. Right. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then that actually became a book. So I wrote that as a book, Love Always Wins, That's Law. And it's a marriage workbook, but it's also for singles. And I encourage it for singles because everything that you do in marriage, you have to do for yourself first.
Yep.
And you really don't know that until you get into a marriage. Like they tell you, but then you get into one and it's like, oh my gosh, all these things I have to do for this person, I really should be doing for myself. And you learn how to do that. Anyways, that's a tangent.
Yeah, no, it's a great one.
Yes.
So it started as a book, and the book has all of the elements that we had learned in the first 5 years of our marriage. So our foundation, learning how to be vulnerable with one another, coming up with all these, like knowing that we have baggage and learning how to unpack our baggage together, and not judging one another for the baggage, all those things. And then the book includes a scrapbook and a journal entry for each time you talk through things and all that. Anyways, so that's where it started, right? So then we launched the book in July of last year, and the front of the cover is pinky promises. Oh, it's a pinky. Hold on, let me see.
Come on. Yeah,
that's sweet.
So we're seeing the shirt with all of this on it for those who are listening and can't see.
Yes.
Sweatshirt specifically. It's very cute.
Yes.
Cute. The pinky, we always used to pinky promise each other. I don't even know where it came from, but like we would send each other pinky promises, and that hold a lot of weight for us. So that was the cover. So then I was like, we should just make couple sweatshirts. Like, why don't we just, like, couple wear? We like to match. I mean, and during the time it was getting like towards the fall. So then we released our sweaters and it just became a whole brand. So now, like when we talk about vulnerable things, or even on my Instagram, I had shared the other day, someone came at me really negative and said that I was annoying. And I responded back in love. And at the bottom, I said, this is why people cannot negate love with hate. You can't fight it because love always wins. And that's law. And it's like, it it has just become something that it's like, it's a part of our foundation. It's a part of, yeah. So that's where it came from. And there's a whole story, guys. I kind of went on a whole tangent. I'm sorry.
No, I love that.
That's fantastic. Tara, I have to say that your brain works a lot like Eileen's brain, in that there's like one little spark, and then it's like, all the things go. We got to go. We got to get this. This is happening. We're doing this. And this little part becomes this part and then becomes something greater. This is how the podcast started, by the way. Wow. So yeah, Eileen texted me and went, hear me out. Okay. And by the way, we used to work together for almost 8 years. And like, I would get texts every night. Hear me out. What about this? And there was like the 10 o'clock text program. So we just, we would talk about different ideas and stuff like that. So Tara, considering that Eileen is like my partner in crime and all things awesome, I totally love your story. And I love the energy that you've brought to it. And also just the confidence that you brought to it too, because I would imagine that YouTube and I speak as somebody who's risk adverse, so I will put that out there. You just went, yeah, we're just going to do this. I love that Trey was like, oh, all right, like, I guess this is happening. We're going to do this. And you made it work. And you built on that. And especially, as you said earlier, that the internet and socials can also be a cruel place, that you found a way to become a positive influencer versus put them up, put up your dukes because I'm ready to fight. You didn't fight, you countered with love. And I think that is, that's a credit to you, because in this world, it just feels like, and I know, and I speak on my own behalf, is that I have a fuse that's like this big, little teensy tiny. And there are sometimes where people irritate me, but I have chosen not to respond because my face wins over that all the time. So, and social media is a place where people get a little bit of brave and they're like, oh yeah, I'll tell this person. I love that you came back in that sense of bravery and conviction in your message that love always wins. And I'd like to think that love does always win. And I think that that's a wonderful message that you have. So good on you. Eileen, I interrupted you, so I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. I was just going to say we would definitely be fast friends. So you're spot on, Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
And truly, when I said earlier that we could talk for 2 or 3 hours, now I'm definitely serious about that and not joking. So,
correct.
Yeah, no, it was incredible just to hear that piece of it. And it's fascinating too, because I also had sort of a 2020 moment of things coming to life, right? That moment in time with pandemic and all kinds of things was a moment to reflect and just think about what life sort of meant in a different way and what really mattered and what was impactful and what kind of impact you wanted to make and the values that you have. And I tell my kids also that like, I want to be a spreader of kindness and allow the flow to keep going. Like, I don't have to give examples, but there was the one time, like in the drive-thru, I like paying for the people behind me sometimes. Like, why do you do this, Mom? Like, you're so weird and embarrassing. I'm like, well, too bad. But then the other day we went to Cold Stone, and no, they're not sponsors yet. But also, my daughter wants to work there. She's decided that that's what she wants to do when she's older. She's going to be an ice cream maker. So anyway, went to Cold Stone. The person in front of us paid. And so both of them were just dumbfounded that something like that had happened. And they're like, Mom, that's like what you do. And I was like, that's exactly it. Mm-hmm. We keep the flow of kindness going, and then it keeps spreading and keeps moving to other people. Now we're seeing it come back to us again. So, what's that saying, that it's in a world where you can be anything, be kind.
Yes.
I don't know who said it first. I apologize. We'll try to look it up and share for folks. That's what you're doing. And it's so wonderful, because sometimes it looks so lonely in this space, when you hear so much in the news and other social media stuff. And I'm so grateful to be sharing the space with you today, to be with someone else who's doing work like this. So it's just incredible to be able to sit with you in that. So love always wins. That's law. We have a book. Awesome. What else are you doing? So you're doing some couples retreats. What does it look like now for people who are interested in this and or would want to take part? What kind of things do you provide and share out? You obviously have the YouTube channel and some of those spaces. Are there other things that people can see and get involved in? Just if they're really curious about Love Always Wins.
Yeah. So YouTube for sure. That space is actually entitled "Let's Get Real About Marriage."
Okay.
If people want to get like the real, like raw, honest, like we're just speaking, talking, like we have some really deep conversations. That's actually where it started from. I was like, I wish we just could record us talking. Like we have some really great conversations. So that's where it started. So we have a whole different space for that. That's our real, raw, honest. If you want to really get to know us, that's where you can really see us. Instagram is a huge growing platform right now for me. That space is really, I like to call it like, that to me is my America. What America was supposed to be, that's my America. It has a mixture of so many different cultures, so many different ages. Like when I tell you that we pour into people, a man messaged me the other day, he's 53, and he was saying how much he has learned. And he was thanking me for the post I had just posted. And he was like, I am learning so much. Like my wife and I are going at it. And wow, just to hear this. And it touched me because even coming up, I still do. I get judged because I'm 26 and they're like, you're experienced. And I'm like, okay, you're just not going to learn from me. It's okay. I'm not for everyone. I understand that. But so Instagram is more so if you want a community, like, and I charge people, like, if you're going to be in this community and someone is being vulnerable under a post, it is not for you to judge them. It is not for you to, if you're going to be a part of this, this is a family. And I am so about this because it's never been about numbers. And yes, the numbers are coming and I've been checked. My ego has been checked because even though it's never been about numbers, there was a point and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's followers. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. And I was checked because it was never about that. It was about the message. It was about, so that Instagram is really like, it's becoming like a, for me. We're on TikTok as well. We actually started a new TikTok. You guys are all about moving away from fear. Yeah, let me tell you.
Totally, right? We're about to jump into it, so tell us all about it.
Please.
TikTok, we had grew to like 75K. And then I think it was one of the videos we had our kids in and TikTok was like, we're going to like basically like shadow ban you guys. So they had did that, but we kept posting, right? So we started getting followers again. But somebody kept telling me I just need to start over, like just start over. So I kind of fought it for a little bit. I made the account and I told my husband, I was like, I think we just need to start over. Let's just start over and just see what happens. Like, I felt like we were getting into this groove of, oh, we need to post this. We need to post this, or they want to see this. Yes, like TikTok is a community that care about the people. But again, I know what I came here to do. Yeah. So yeah, you may see me in one light, but I'm not here to just be this one thing for you. If I'm going to post, I'm going to post what feels authentic to me. And we were starting to move away from that. So I was like, all right, we start over. When I tell we start over, like I think 5 days ago, and it's been a journey because there's still parts of me that are still trying to operate of, oh my gosh, if that doesn't get seen or if that doesn't get, or they're going to judge me for this. And I'm moving away from that because again, I'm not for everybody. And I have learned that, I see that, and I don't want to be for everybody. Again, one isn't in a place to receive my mindset or what I'm saying, or even it's in their own journeys. And that's no judgment. Some people are really in a hard space right now and they're not going to be able to receive the love that I'm giving, or they can't recognize that it's love. So with all that being said, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook too. I mean, I do post on there. I think I had some like 8K followers now. It used to be kind of personal, but then I started posting the reels and people started to come in, and I decided not to shun myself from that because these are all different areas and I could be reaching so many different people, so many different walks of life. Not to just, keep myself in this box. So all of those, as far as retreat goes, so we're going to be real. We had partnered to have a retreat back in 2022, so last year. And they all still went. we didn't go. We weren't able to go. Things kind of fell through. But I feel like it fell through because, again, I lost sight of what we were supposed to do. We partnered with this company, and instead of me sticking to what I was, what this retreat was going to be about, I just kind of was like, oh, they have everything planned. They were doing this. They were adding all these things that it wasn't what we wanted our first retreat to be. So long story short, we didn't end up going. So then fast forward to, I'm gonna say a couple months ago, I kind of took like a little social media hiatus, and Trey works nights. So, and during his nights and I get the boys to sleep, I have my alone time. And in that alone time, it was like I was getting all of these, like, I guess you can say ideas. Like you hit your 10 o'clock PM night. Yeah, that was me.
Nailed it.
And I'm like, oh, I got it. Oh my gosh. So I'm writing it down. And then when I stopped getting ideas, I was like, okay, I'm gonna close the book and I'll come back to it when I get the next idea. In 4 days, I planned the entire retreat. Like I have the entire retreat in my notebook ready to go. When is it going to be? Don't know. But when I'm ready now. Before I wasn't ready. Now I'm ready. So when the time comes, I don't have to get ready. I have everything ready to go. I don't know when it's going to be. I do feel it will be soon. Who knows? But when I announce it, everybody be ready, because this is going to be something that I'll share a tidbit. In our marriage retreats, we are going to create a community where you will have people you can depend on, because marriage is hard. And a lot of times you can't depend on people. You can't trust people to be like, oh my gosh, my husband was doing this. And it's not like you're coming from a space of you just hear me out. Like just a lot of people don't have that. And we have these weddings, and you should be able to depend on these people in your weddings who come, right? They're supposed to come to support you after you walk down that aisle, and after you say, I do, it's the after. You're not supposed to come for the wedding. You're supposed to come to say, okay, once you guys have your heart stuff, you can call me up and I'm going to make sure your head is screwed on straight and say, fix it out, get out your own BS, like all that type of stuff. But that's not what people come to weddings for. So our retreats are going to be whoever comes, and we want to kind of do like, we want to cap it because we actually want to pour into couples. So like 25 to maybe 30 couples. And in that group, each time, this is your community. This is your, we're going to have rededications. You can rededicate your marriage. It doesn't matter. Like we start over at that point. And each time, like everyone in that group will hold you accountable. This is your tribe. This is your family. You have a tribe for your family. You should have a tribe for your marriage. And that is what our foundation of our marriage retreat will be.
I love it. So, I mean, Cheryl, I don't really even need to ask the "this is happening" question, because that's it.
That's kind of it, right? Yeah.
That's later, but I don't even think we really need to touch on that at this point, because I see it in your heart. Like this is happening. When, how exactly? That's fine. It'll come. It will come.
That's
right. And you know what it is. You are very clear exactly as to what's going to be happening, and the other pieces will start to fall in place. And I don't say that. So sometimes, saying something like that is that people think it's not work. It's still work. There's still stuff that has to happen. You're not just going to sit back and be like, okay, cool, got a plan in my head now, and things just magically fall into place. That's not how it works. However, you will know when those things are meant to be touched on, and the destination will come, and all of those parts that you're looking for will be the right pieces that come into it. And that is incredible and so exciting. And you'll have to keep us updated for sure. I feel like it's, I don't know, 6 months tops, truly, from the way you're talking about it. And in all reality, like there's no way it's going to be longer than that. But yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And it just sounds incredible already. Like you have your first trailer for this. Anyone that wants to sign up, just check out the Instagram DM, let Tara know that you're coming whenever it happens. So that's fantastic. There's so many different things you're doing. I'm going to have to pick your brain. Honestly, we need to get phone numbers together so we can text when those idea times happen. Also, maybe we need to run an idea monthly group to other people, because boy, oh boy, do I love doing that stuff. Like, oh, you have an idea? Let's talk about it. What about this? And how would you do this? And are you thinking about this kind of thing? And I just thrive in that space, as Cheryl knows. So
Yeah, I was going to say, welcome to Eileen's brain. Welcome to Eileen's brain. Yep. And it's great. It's great. I love it because she gives me energy. And I think you probably give your people, the people who follow you, energy, right? Because it's like, yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay. I'm going to go off and think about what she said and do this and come back to it. Your spirit reminds me a lot of somebody who I am a big fan of, and that is Shonda Rhimes. And she wrote a book called, you may be familiar, Year of Yes.
The second time someone referred to her when it came to me. Sorry, continue. That's crazy.
And we've seen her in like speaking and stuff like that. So, and got to even, I'm getting chills right now. We got to meet her and have her sign our books. So
yes. And yeah, it was not my shining moment because literally I was like, this is great to meet you. And she was like, oh, it's nice to meet you. She was so gracious about it. But I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting this human who's awesome. And I don't have words right now. Perfect. Anywho, you remind me of her book because it just seems like, and the premise all right. Hi, audience. So for people who don't know Shonda Rhimes' book, The Year of Yes, she is highly introverted. And one day she was talking about how she got invited to something and her sister, so it sounds to me like her family keeps her very grounded. And her sister said, well, are you going to go? And she said, no, probably not. And her sister mumbled under her breath, you never say yes. So at that point, she decided, okay, I'm going to have a year of yes, and I'm going to say yes to every opportunity that comes to me. Now, she set boundaries for herself because there were some things where she's like, I don't want to be on TV. Like, I can do this. We can pre-record. That's cool, but that's what I'm doing. And really got to understand women in her industry better. Like, why are we like this? You know? I feel like you have kind of transcended the like, why are we like this? And you're more like, no, this is who we are. Mm-hmm. And this is what I've said yes to. I didn't just say yes to the dress. I said yes to this life. And I'm sharing that with you so that you understand what it means to say yes. And that's really cool.
No, actually, that was a tangent I needed. I have chills because, side note, I went to Target today. Because I'm turning the boys' room into a schoolroom. And nice. I was looking at some books and I was just walking by. I never go by the books. And I saw her book today. So it's ironic that you mentioned that. No irony. No, there's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. Yeah, you needed to say that. So thank you for your tangent because that was confirmation for me in more ways than one.
Also, there's no excuse you have to have for going to Target. Just saying, like,
right. This is not an ad.
Like, I heard something, someone was like, well, what are you getting from Target? I was like, I don't know. Target will tell me.
Right. Target will let us know. The Target Oracle will let us know, and then we'll walk away.
So you don't even have to explain why you went to Target. Truly, I went to Target. That makes sense.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Go on, Cheryl. I see you thinking.
I am. I'm thinking. This is my processing phase. Like, this is where so I look up in the air and I hope for some sort of intervention to come down. Do you run on impulse, or is it a mix of impulse and planning?
Not planning.
Not planning. You just go. I'm
learning a balance of both. Now in this season, I'm learning a balance of both. And initially, no, I'm because if I don't do it, I will overthink. I'm an overthinker, and anxiety will kick in. All these little thoughts, negative thoughts will kick in. So if I don't just do it when my heart tells me to do it, then I probably won't do it.
What do you say is the most impulsive thing that you've done? Or is this it? Is this? Yeah. No.
Married at 19? Really?
I was gonna say, come on.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh,
surprise. Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that I am noticing about you is, I mean, obviously all of this is this rooted in love and this piece, obviously you've done your stuff, right? You're the self-reflection and the piece of that's loving you. where did you, I mean, who is your chorus? Who are the people that lift you up also outside of your husband, that are your community, that are those people that also pour into you? Because obviously that's a huge piece that you've seen. And yeah, I'm just curious if it was, sometimes we see things or want things or need things or know that those are things because we didn't have them, or sometimes we had a great amount of them. So I'm curious as to what that has looked like for you through your life.
So growing up, I will say I was very blessed because in the home, hell, okay, in the home was hell. But out of the home, I was shown so much love from teachers, principals. I was always called teacher's pet. I always gravitated towards the adults in church, but ironically, so I've been doing a lot of work on my thoughts these past couple of weeks because in the next few weeks I'll be speaking at the What She Said event, and
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of unpack like my anxieties around speaking. Like I'm not scared about public speaking at all, but I have like these self-doubts and I wanted to unpack where did these come from. So the last couple of weeks have been a whole slew of emotions as I've been unpacking where this stuff came from. And as I was unpacking that, I was realizing like, wow, I was surrounded by a lot of love out of the home, but even those things that those people were telling me, I did not believe them. I didn't believe them because the inner voice in my head, I didn't know this until 2 days ago. The inner voice in my head wasn't even mine. It didn't belong to me. It came from those around me in my home. So the way that I was perceiving myself, it wasn't the truth. It wasn't the way that I really saw myself. It was those things that I was picking up. And again, that's no judgment because how they were, that was all, it all spirals, how they see themselves, how they, all that. Anyways, which did check me in my parenthood too, because I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Oh gosh.
like their inner voice is going to come. Wow. It was all just connecting. So I was unpacking that. And in that, so I say, I was surrounded by like I had a principal, I think when I graduated 6th grade, he told my mother, he was like, I really hope that my daughter grows up to be like Tara. Did you know that never hit my spirit until literally a couple weeks ago? And I was like, wow, like I really had people speaking life amongst all the stuff that I was going through. I had so many people surrounding me with love and I didn't know it. I didn't know it at the time, but I was gravitating towards it. As a kid, you really don't know that. You just kind of, I'm just going to go where I feel comfortable. And that's why I was gravitating. So yeah, I send so much gratitude to my teachers, and even on Facebook, I tag them every single time. And in specific stories, like there was one time my 1st grade teacher, she took me because my mom was working. She was working like 2 weeks at a time. So we didn't get to see her, only on the weekends, every other 2 weeks. And so she would braid our hair up for those 2 weeks. Now, whose hair is going to last that long for 2 weeks?
Right.
Class. And my teacher, she left the classroom. She left me in there. She got another teacher and they came in, they had a comb, they had a brush, and they did my hair. And it was like, they locked the door so no other kids came in, and they didn't ask any questions. They took care of me. And that was love. Or I had my 4th grade teacher. He would make sure that I got, now it's kind of taboo to do this now, okay, because the time we live in, but he would make sure that I would get home from practice because my dad wouldn't come get me, or the bus would stop running, and he would make sure I get home safely.
Yeah.
That was love. That was, the people at the church that I grew up around that were speaking so much life of, wow, you're so talented. And even though I wasn't getting that at home, hearing those words, even though I didn't believe them yet, right? They were still in my mental. So now they're coming up as I'm growing up and I'm unpacking, and I'm like, wow, no, I do see myself like this. Like that was the truth. That is my truth. What I was perceiving then was not my truth. And I can let that go now. I'm not in survival mode anymore. I can now just be, I can breathe, I can live, and I can see myself now for who I am, and not that facade of all that trauma that wasn't even mine, or not even, so.
Yeah. So the fact that you just said gravitate towards love, I don't know, there was something that hit me about that phrase, and it just got, again, my brain just starts going in a million directions while also listening. And it's so true. Like even when you start thinking about it, for most people, we do gravitate towards love, even if we don't understand what that definition of love means. Right. And then sometimes we figure it out and we're like, oh, that's not it. That wasn't it. Do over, mulligan. But I just, thinking about so much of that, it really is. And it's amazing that you're so you have the ability and use it to self-reflect on so much of this, right? Because not everyone does at all, right?
Right.
And to take those experiences and think, now how do I do it differently? And I know that's one of the things that you focus on too, is the generational differences and changing the story of what that looks like. And like you said, you're doing that intentionally in your parenting. You're looking at your kids and saying, what is the inner voice that is going to be in their heads now? You know, I don't know that our parents had the ability to think that or even know that that was a thing, right? So just even being able to do that and to do that intentionally is incredible. And, you know, even I think some people even know about it. It's like, I still don't want to do it. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes, I just want to watch Netflix. But truly, it's this amazing gift that you're giving to your children and your marriage and the rest of this world too, and the work that you're doing. So I just applaud you for all of that. It's incredible, the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Yes. And also how wonderfully self-aware you are. Because if you ask 10 people, probably 8 people say, oh yeah, I'm totally self-aware. Maybe 2 are self-aware, right? Yeah. We had talked to somebody a couple weeks back, I think. She had written a book, her own memoir, and she talked about how she gave a name to her inner voice, and it was Tiffany. And she, you know, and like the more she thought about it, the more ridiculous it was. Like she just had this vision of like Tiffany going, you can't do that, and just laughing, right? And so thinking about that, as I was thinking about that book, I had named mine Lottie, with apology again to all the Charlottes and the Lotties in the world. But yeah, so if I get down on myself, literally, I'm like, Lottie, knock it off, because you're a lot. Knock it off. I love that you were able to identify and name what that is. Even if it doesn't have a name from the 80s, it's fine. I love that you did that for yourself, and that I think to Eileen's point, you are that self-aware, and that you can share that, and kind of break that generational piece with your kids and be like, yeah, all right. Yep. So that inner voice is out.
Yeah. And Cheryl just jumped on me in this conversation because I hadn't yet been there. And she's like, what would you name yours? And I was like, this gives me 5 seconds to actually think about this. Bertha was mine. So were you to have now 5 seconds to come up with yours?
Yeah. What would that look like?
What would you think it would be?
Honestly, I think, see, because my inner fat girl's name is Patricia. So I think my inner voice would be Nick.
Okay. Like it.
Awesome.
So just when that happens and you just, Nick,
knock it off. Right. Go away. Not today, Nick. Not today.
Yeah, it's helpful. Like I didn't even think about something like that, but it's been helpful for me over the past 2 weeks now, week, 2 weeks. But just to differentiate, it's like, nope. Look, I know you're trying to keep me safe, or whatever your version of safe is, and no, thank you.
Right.
So, yeah, no. So oh my gosh, we're already, holy cow. Again, I told you this is going to be forever. However, I want to be conscientious of your time. You have a family that you need to go back to, and we want to make sure you get there. So we talked about your This Is Happening very much, because that's what's on your heart. Is there anything else? Then there doesn't have to be, because that's pretty big, I would say. But is there anything else in terms of, where you see where this goes in the next 5, 10, 15 years, that you're already visioning out? Because I could see that you're that type of person that might do that. So purely out of my own curiosity, would love to see what your This Is Happening vision is for any of that.
Ironically, I keep saying ironically, and literally just last night I felt like I broke up with that word. So let me vocabulary. I feel like after this event with what she said, I feel like I'm going to be speaking and traveling with and without my husband. I see it. If you guys have time and you check out my Instagram and you read, again, the videos are great, but when you read the caption below, words that I speak, it's and this is so different for me speaking like this about myself. It's so weird and confidently, but the words that I speak, one, I know that it comes from a place that's like deeper than me. Okay. Like it's not, it's a real deep place. Cause after I read some of the stuff that I write, I'm like, ooh, where did that even come from? Um, and I feel the same way for this event that's coming up. So like I said, I'm kind of been in hermit mode and have been unpacking myself. Because I told my husband, like, when I get on this stage, I don't want them to see me. And the words that come out of my mouth, I don't want it to come from my ego because I didn't get on that stage for you guys to see me. I need you to hear me and I need you to take something away to apply to your life. And I pray that you feel some type of hope, that you feel some type of encouragement, because me being on that stage is a whole stepping stone. Because a year ago, when I was invited as an influencer, I almost didn't go. I almost talked myself out of going. Even when I walked in the door, I was going to turn around and drive back home because I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt like I was the underdog. I was around so many boss women, and I'm like, who am I? And then a year later, I'm on the stage with these same boss women, and I'm about to speak. I'm not going to cry right now, but so I've been trying to prepare myself for this in a way that's, again, it's not about me. And I pray that I touch at least one woman in the audience or male, because there'll be men there too. I pray I touch at least one person, that one person walks out and feels like they can walk into a room that they feel like they don't belong and that they can keep going in whatever aspect. So I feel like that's going to come after this event. I don't know what's going to be spoken. I don't know. I don't know what's going to come out my mouth. But I do think that it's going to open up some doors that I didn't even know were going to open and didn't even know that needed to be open. So in the next 5 to 10 years, you guys may see me traveling amongst doing the marriage stuff. I may be breaking off and traveling and speaking to people and just inspiring and just telling my story and my truth and my authenticity, because I can't tell no one else's story but mine.
That's right.
Oh, I just felt that so deep down and definitely teared up as you were talking. I feel all of what you're saying so deeply, and truly there is no maybe about it, period. So you're incredible. And I cannot wait to watch your star. Your star is already rising. It just needs to keep going further, and it will. So congratulations. Thank you. And just keep us in mind. I'd love to if you need someone to have a fireside chat with or anything, I'll volunteer for that, because one, I would love to keep talking to you. Also, I just truly, we're following you and can't wait to see where the heck you go, because it's just going to keep going far.
Keep us posted, and please add me to that group chat. So, Tara, just for posterity, one more time, once more with feeling, can you give the audience how they can connect with you on social media?
Yes. So if you want a community where you can grow with other like-minded people, Instagram is for you. If you want a community of where you really just want the raw, honest, like, what is going on in y'all's marriage? Like, how do you get through that? What have you been through? Follow us on YouTube, join that community. If you want some really just inspirational, like, okay, what type of stuff are you doing in your everyday life? Go ahead and add me on Facebook. And if you want some more like just joyous, like everyday couple things, but real, we don't stage anything and we're not challenges. So if you're looking for that, don't follow us. Go to TikTok and follow us. We're all about real and authentic. The world is already trying to put up a front. We're not here to do that. You won't see me in makeup all the time. You will see me like this, hair curly, no makeup, glasses on, majority of the time, pajamas, my mom attire. Okay. I will be the 2% that I do dress up is strong, but that 98%, okay, I'm cozy and warm. That we want people to feel just like home. We don't want you to have a facade. We don't care if you messed up in your marriage. We don't care if we don't care where you came from. We don't care where you start. It's not about where you start. It's about the journey. And that's what marriage is. And that's what life is. So follow us, join the community. It's all about family. That's what we're building.
And
Wonderful.
soon to be retreat. So just again, throwing that out.
Tara, thank you so much. On behalf of Eileen and myself, Cheryl Cantafio, thank you once again, audience, for joining us on this week's episode of You Only Go Once. Take care. Bye.